Hello viewer. So today is just a little video on scrapping out a 3-COM baseline switch 2228. I've had this little beastie in my network for a while. It's only 10100 on these, and the only ones that are 1 gigabyte are these two. So what I've had is I've had my gigabyte router, which I've had all the main machines hooked into, like my computer, the media computer, the link to this, and a link that I just use as a flying link for whatever machines I have on my desk. I've since upgraded. I have got a 24 port 1 gigabit Cisco switch now, managed switch. Certainly a lot different from this one. It's about 10 times heavier and 3 times the size. So yeah, so this one is sort of not worth doing anything with, not worth selling. They sort of get about $1 on our Trade Me site in New Zealand. So basically they just have no value. So I'm going to scrap it out. This thing's never been apart. Still got its warranty cell even until right now. Here we go, gone. No more warranty. To be fair, I'm not even sure how it comes apart. Okay, so I use this little scraper for all sorts of things. It's very useful. Obviously it's designed for doing jib and the like, but I don't think I've actually ever used it for that. Okay, well that's a little bit. I think I'm on the right track here. So comes out that way. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we've got a little power supply here. That'll come in useful, I think. Yeah. I wonder what voltage it is. Oh. Always useful to have a little power supply. Now, I'm certainly not recommending that you go out and start stripping these things apart and start playing around with the power supplies. I have been using electronics for a very long time, and and tend to be very cautious when I'm playing around with electronics and circuitry, especially main circuitry. So I can't initially just see what voltage this is, but I'm looking at the caps, these electrolytics here. So that's 25 volt. I'm going to presume that we've probably got something along the lines of a 5 volt and a 12 volt rail. Possible we could have 18. but I'm going to take a stab in the dark that we've got 5 and 12 volt. So that actually makes that a very useful power supply. You know, she's not going to be big current, but that's okay. Don't always need big current, but what I do need with what I do is 12 volt and 5 volt power supplies. So then we got some good chips here. Some crystal oscillators, and I'll bet you that these pins and things here will probably be reasonably nice gold plated pins. And like I say, you know, you're not talking a lot of money, you know, because you're talking gold plated. It's a fraction of the amount of gold that, you know, obviously something that solid gold would have. So it's a very small amount. The thing that we're looking at is, you know, it's just something you build up over time. It's got no real other value. I don't know anyone nearby where I am where you can actually recycle the boards. Certainly haven't found anything myself. So stuff's going to get serious. Otherwise, you know, it would probably be potentially more value just leaving the boards as they are. But yeah, so I was thinking that that's actually an interesting way of doing the LEDs. I was actually kind of expecting to see all the LEDs just on a riser board rather than using plastic. Interesting. Okay, I wouldn't have thought that would be a more economical way of doing it. So we've got all these LEDs here with some rather degraded rubber. Not meant to be pulled apart, is it? Well, that's interesting. So these, I would say, yeah, I think from memory they were 2-color LED, green and yellow. So I'm surprised by that they would go to the hassle of having this sort of setup instead of just having the LEDs on a, you know, sitting upright on a riser panel. Okay, maybe it was the cheapest option for them. Don't know. So anyway, so what do we got here? So get a little bit violent. To be honest, these I'm not too familiar with. Where the what do they call them? So it's all module. So those modules, I believe, are fibre optic. So the modules that actually plug into here are fibre optic, and they can use those for interlinks or similar. So I've never used them, never even seen one. So yep, so we got some nice gold plated pins there, and I think okay, we got some gold plated pins that don't want to come off. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but that's worth pulling out and adding to the collection. I know some people will have buckets. I just have at this stage a little food jar. So, and that's been years, you know, but hey, I do it low scale. You know, I don't go hunting parts or items to strip out. Generally it's just things that I've had that have then become end of life, and so I'll strip them out. I wouldn't mind getting into a little bit more e-waste stuff. I mean, it certainly interests me. Yeah, so there we go, there's some nice gold plated pins just to add to the general pile of gold plating. Like I say, I've got no intentions at this stage of trying to do the actual extraction of the gold. I just don't have the technology, the room, or the time. But the good thing is it doesn't take up much room. Generally I'll just pull a board like this apart while I'm doing some other work. You know, it's not like I'm sitting there going, oh, I got to get this done because I'm busy. But just while I'm watching TV or something, I'll just sit here and I'll pull the rest of the bits apart. So that's basically it. Just an old, fundamentally now useless switch. There's probably hundreds of them out there. And at least, you know, pulling them apart, recycling the metals that are in them, and hopefully one day, you know, this, I've talked about it before, just in my, you know, little world, is maybe one day I'll be able to do something with the plastics even, and chipping them down and putting them through an extruder and then 3D printing them. That might be a project in the future once the CNC and my Bluetooth speaker and all the other things are done. Might start looking at how that might work, because I hate throwing this away. I do, you know, it's we have such a low plastic recycling level in New Zealand. Sure, you know, you know, yeah, you can throw away your plastic bottles and things. I'm really dubious on how much of it actually gets recycled. I think a lot of it just ends up in landfill. You know, a lot of it used to be shipped overseas, quite often to China. So we would pay them to take the product, or the waste, for recycling, but I believe a lot of it just ended up in landfill. And as far as I'm aware, they no longer take it anyway. So yeah, to my mind, recycling in New Zealand is quite a problem. We just don't do enough. You know, if there's no money in it, no one's interested. And unfortunately, unlike some of the other countries, you know, when you buy a product, you're actually paying for the recycling of it when you buy it. As far as I'm aware, that doesn't happen here. So we just keep putting stuff and more stuff into landfill. And you think of something like this, you know, there's all sorts of chemicals on a board like this. You know, you've got some good bits, but you've got some bad bits as well. And yet these things do have a value. You know, there are components. But what happens once the companies that actually extract those value out of them, what happens to the board then? I don't know. You know, these boards will be fibre. So once the yummy bits have been extracted out, you know, on a professional level, what do they do with it? What happens with the rest? I'd like to think it's recycled into something, but you know, I really don't think it is. So yeah, recycling sounds good, but I think in a lot of cases it just doesn't happen. Now, just during the last 30 seconds, I've actually spotted we got a swollen cap here. So even though I didn't notice any performance degradation on this unit when it was in use, that cap is swollen and will be failing, or has failed. So interesting to spot that. So good time to scrap it out. Okay guys, that's it from me for today. Yeah, I got some views on recycling, and let's not even go into polystyrene. Yeah, polystyrene, the amount of that goes into the rubbish, and it can't be recycled in New Zealand, as far as I'm aware. Okay, thank you for watching. Quiet rant, I guess, and hopefully my viewer will see me next time. Thank you.